Taking your revenue and putting it to your marketing is an awesome thing to do unless you do it wrong. So I'm going to give you some guidelines and some tips on how to work on your marketing budget for your company, because man, do I want to see you succeed. And I've seen a lot of people lose steam because they go for the wrong things at the wrong time with too much money. So let's get into it.
Wow! It's the Mammoth Plumber podcast with Tyler Williams, the marketing man. Yeah!
All right, any good agency is going to be a steward of your marketing budget. You're going to tell them how much you have to spend in marketing, and they're going to help you put those in alignment to the best platforms and actions that you can, given the information that everybody has. It doesn't necessarily mean it's guaranteed success, but at least you have the specialty of an agency working you through these choices when there are many various platforms out there. And one of the biggest challenges that I see is people understanding how much to spend on marketing in the first place. And there's no hard set rule, but there are some formulas that I'm going to go over in order to really help you take some mystery out of this whole project. What brings this up for me is I've seen a lot of companies spend too much too early and not have enough runway to continue operations because marketing takes time to build momentum, sometimes a lot of time. So I'm going to try and help you find a sustainable way to build a marketing budget. All right, let's go into my slides and we'll see what we get. All right, of course, everybody wonders, where does the money for marketing come from? Well, it comes from your revenue. You should be allocating a percentage of your revenue into marketing initiatives, okay? Now, this could be advertising, it could be agency fees, it could be uniforms, it could be van wraps, it could be business cards, but anything that helps you get and maintain customers really needs to be part of that marketing bucket, okay? Now, what people get tripped up on is they will sometimes allocate 50% of their revenue into marketing for the first month and just think that, well, next month I'll just make double. It'll be fine. That's not how marketing works. Marketing takes time and attention to tune it, but it also takes time for your business to become trusted in the eyes of the community. It's a psychology game. You can't just spend your way to push your psychology that fast. There is a limit to how fast people will trust someone new. So here's the percentages that we like to see. 5 to 15% of your revenue. You can go less and you can go more, but there's reasons not to. If you go less, you run the risk of never making a dent. And that's what a word of mouth business is. And so they tend to grow on word of mouth, and then word of mouth stalls because one customer will refer you one time a year, maybe, right? Whereas with advertising, you're pushing yourself out to thousands of people all the time. So 5% is sort of like a sustainable maintenance budget. If you really want to grow, you're probably going to have to spend more than that. We recommend usually at 10%. If you can go to 15, excellent. That's a pretty good zone. But 15 to 20 starts getting shaky because most businesses can't afford going above 15 without hurting their operations to the point where the customers don't like it anymore. So you have to find that balance for yourself. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're young and early and you don't have any other life things going on, you can probably go higher than your marketing budget than somebody who has a family that they have to support, okay? Because you have a way of controlling your lifestyle. It doesn't have the obligations on it that some other people do, to the point where you can spend more, and that can help accelerate your growth. But when you've got bills, it's hard to really dump a ton of money into marketing right out of the gate. But this is also why your pricing is so critical to marketing success. One of the biggest problems that we see over and over and over again is an average ticket that is too low to actually sustain marketing into the market. So then the company has nothing else to do but dry up and die, which is really sad to see. And we've seen it multiple times. So I'm going to, for the rest of this presentation, kind of aim at 10%, just middle of the road, okay? Just so that way you can kind of see how the numbers work out. One thing to realize is you have to spend into your future. So figure out your goals. If you are the first year out, it's going to be a little tricky. You might have to like reverse engineer the last couple months and sort of go, well, how much do I think I'm going to pull in over the next couple months? And your marketing spend may have to adjust right on the fly. If you have a year in business, this is a whole lot easier because you have a lot more data to which you can predict your future. If you're 3 years in, it's even easier. 5 years in, even easier. 10 years, oh my gosh, it's so much simpler because you can look at the historical data and get your average tickets, understand how many jobs you do a month, and go, okay, well, if this is how much I spent on marketing, this is how many customers I got, then I can do some division and then reverse engineer into my goals. I do recommend that you set goals though. A lot of people don't even do that. Understand how much revenue you want to generate for your company by the end of the year and realize that your marketing budget will help you get there. Your pricing structure will help you get there. And the cap or control you have on your overhead is another big factor on whether or not you're going to get there. Okay. All three of those things are related and carry equal weight into you getting to your goal. But the big thing is if you spend into your future, you're taking that percentage and you're going, well, if I made, let's say 500,000 last year and I want to make 750 this year, well, then I need to spend more on my marketing to reach that new goal. How much would that be? And you can reverse engineer based on the percentages that you have in order to see what it would be. But some people never spend towards the future. They're only spending on the past, which yes, will help you grow, but it tends to be a much slower pace. All right. So let's say you are a $500,000 company and it's like your second year in business. Okay. So you're going, man, I really want to reach $1 million or whatever by the end of the year. You kind of want to know how much should I spend to make the 500,000, and then you can increase from there. So we're going to use 500,000 as figuring out what kind of a marketing budget should get you to 500,000. Well, if we use that 10%, 500,000 means you're going to have $50,000 in an annual marketing budget, right? So it's easy to then take that and split it out monthly because marketers work in monthly chunks. It makes it a whole lot easier for us to plan and to help make sure that things are getting saturated enough at a time. So that way you're actually meeting the audience where you need to. So that becomes $4,167-ish monthly. Okay. Now, for some of you, that's going to sound like a ton. For some of you, that's going to sound like a pittance. And there's a huge difference in the psychology of a company that has been around for a little while versus the company that's just starting up. You have to realize that everyone starts somewhere, but eventually you will start throwing around thousands of dollars into your marketing in order to make your business just operate. We've had clients who spend upwards to $20,000 to $30,000 to $40,000 a month on marketing because their company needed it to sustain itself. It's a machine. It needs fuel. It needs food in order to grow. Here's another mistake that I often see. So I wanted to make sure that I included this. This is also going to be on a spectrum, but a lot of people will overspend on agency fees. They get oversold into packages that won't help push them forward in their marketing, and it robs the company of having to actually spend on advertising in order to get to where they want to go. Now, there's a time and a place for which agency fees this counts towards. For instance, if you're only buying PPC and you're spending over 40% of your budget on PPC, and there are thresholds as far as like, well, my budget is only so much or whatever, because you always have like barrier for entry with this stuff. But if you are spending over 40% of your marketing budget on your agency fees, well, then that would be a cause for concern, because you need to have the money on the account to actually go buy the advertising on Google and Facebook and TV and radio and mailers and all this stuff. That all costs money. And if you don't have enough to spend on the platform, you'll never be able to actually get the traction that you need. And so I've seen this occasionally, and I'm going to be honest, there's good and bad players in the market. My philosophy is that an agency should be a steward of your budget. They should be watching out for your best interest, okay? They should be telling you if you can't afford their own services. That's something that we do in our consults is we say, well, here's what we would recommend, but based on where you're at, like you should just sign up for these things. You can get those other things later. They'll be there. But right now, you got to make sure you get your meat and potatoes first. So where there's exceptions to this are on services that will help you get leads that are not advertising. So this would be like SEO or Google business listing work, even just hosting your website. These are things that are kind of needed at some point, and they don't have an ad spend directly to them. So I think that overall, if you take your entire marketing budget as a whole, this 40 to 60% should hold water pretty well if you are on multiple things. However, if you're only doing SEO, well, yeah, all of that's going to end up going to a marketing agency, and then they're going to have their costs in that go out to like buy articles or backlinks and things like that. Be careful about what you buy. But if you're doing placements, if you're doing advertising, if you're trying to get out to thousands of people every day, well then, yeah, you're going to need the 60% on advertising to buy that advertising. So be careful about overspending your budget on agency fees and never having enough to show up to your own customers. That's a sad state of affairs that agencies aren't out there going, yeah, we got to watch out for that. But the good ones do, and there's a lot of good ones. It's not just us that do that. So now, if you are $1 million company, to give you an example of the same sort of metric going, you should be spending about $8,000 to $15,000 a month on your advertising. And is that a lot of money? Yeah, if you're a homeowner, right? But you're not. You're a business. Business means you have to get used to the bigger numbers because you want to bring home those bigger numbers. You want to help support your community with bigger numbers. You have to spend bigger numbers to sustain it. Most companies don't grow to $1 million and up without spending on their marketing. They certainly don't sustain it. So this is to give you a good idea of, well, how much money should we be spending? So a lot of people don't even know what they should spend or what they could spend when it comes to advertising when they first start out. All right, my final point here is the trust ramp. This is something a lot of people don't anticipate when they start marketing. You have to remember that your current customers, who all maybe came from word of mouth, all those people have basically an advertiser out there who contacted them and said, man, you should trust these guys. And that's how you got your next customer. But when it comes to advertising, you are starting to try and grab people outside of that social bubble. You're really expanding your reach into the market, but these people have never heard you before. They don't understand who you are. They don't know what your personality is. They don't know if you're a fun plumber or just one of the grumpy plumbers. They don't know if you're clean or they don't know if you're dirty, right? And so you have to educate them. And that's where the trust comes in. And some people come to me and they're like, oh yeah, my trust is great. I got like 100 reviews or I got 1,000 reviews. And I'm like, you're in a market of 500,000 people. You've got an addressable market of probably 200,000. Well, that's a pittance. That's a drop in the bucket. If 1,000 people know you, cool. But wouldn't it be better if 20,000 people knew you? Or 200,000. So it takes time to build trust. And nobody builds trust without being proactive about it, because the only other place you're going to build trust is on your Google business profile. And the only time that people look at that is when they need a plumber and you happen to be the one that they think of or show up, right? But you absolutely, when you start advertising, you start building trust. You take control of the narrative in front of you. And you start being very proactive about telling people, Jan over here is great. We always pick up our phone. We're the cleanest plumbers in town. Your mom loves to hire us. And we're 5 stars. If you don't believe us, go look on Google. If you don't say those things using advertising into the market, people never get convinced that you're worth calling in the first place. So where it gets tricky is it does take time. Anywhere from 3 to 6 months for the same people to see you over and over and over again, for them to feel like you're just a staple in the community, right? Otherwise, you're like a traveling sideshow. You were there and then you're gone. And then you're there and then you're gone. And who wants to trust that kind of a plumber, right? So when you start advertising with these budgets and you start really pushing your company and trying to grow in new areas, you've got a climb to do. There's a bit of a mountain you got to go up to and eventually hit a plateau. And then, yes, the word bubbleth over and you start getting more customers. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that this helps give a little bit of perspective about what you should be doing with your marketing budgets. One thing I really want to caution is that you spend too much too fast. You need to have a sustainable budget. And so timeline-wise, try and plan your marketing budgets for 6 months, even if you're just starting. And remember, you review it regularly. Your marketing budget, if things are going well and you start making more money, you can up that marketing budget, which should help accelerate you even faster. If you find that you're overspending into the market based on the revenue that you're actually capturing out of it, then you might want to dial it back if you can. Now, there is very much the game of speed. The more you spend, the faster you'll go. But there's a quiet zone for the first 3 to 6 months when you start a new platform, because those people have never seen you before. So just keep all those things in mind. You should be pretty golden. If you have any questions about this stuff, drop a comment, and by all means, please like the video and stuff, because that's going to help me reach more plumbers. The other thing is, if you want my team to take a look at your stuff, go to tylerwilliams.net and then you can schedule a consult. They're free. We only do them for plumbers. So if you are a fence painter, just don't, please. So anyway, you have a good one. We'll see you on the next one.
Let me tell you the tale of Tyler Williams, the marketing man.
Moon beneath the northern glow, through icy winds and endless snow. One dark night, disaster came, a plumbing failure, a world in shame. Searching online, no ads in sight, no plumber answered in the endless night. The pipes burst wide, the earth gave way. His home was gone, his mother lost. With fists clenched tight to the frozen sky, Tyler made a vow, a marketing cry.
Arise, their name shall stand. I will forge their fate with my own hand.
Tyler Williams, the marketing man, with cosmic power, he built the plan. Fire in his eyes, campaigns in his hand. He builds lost plumbers across the land. From frozen wastes to city skies, plumbers thrive where legends rise. He roamed alone through ice and stone. The Alaskan wilds became his home. He fought off bears with furious might and carved a shelter through the night. But cold winds whispered, his breath ran thin. He stumbled weak, his strength grew dim. Then through the storm, a shadow tall, a mighty mammoth, a titan's call.
I am Mark, the marketing mammoth. Tyler, your time has come. I will teach you the cosmic secrets of persuasion and advertising. Ancient marketing magic lost to time. Through my wisdom you shall rise, and the world will always find a plumber in their time of need.
Tyler Williams, the marketing man, born of the wild with a mammoth plan. He bends the stars, he shapes the sky. For plumbers lost, he lifts them high. With words like thunder, ads like fire, he turns their dreams into empires. No more shadows, no more doubt. With mammoth power, he pulls builds out. For 35 years through frost and fate, he studied with Mark, making marketing great. He grew 10 feet, his beard turned wild. With mammoth wisdom, no longer a child. His eyes burned green with northern light. His voice could shake the stars at night. Then Mark the mammoth raised his head, and to his pupil this is what he said.
Tyler, you have mastered the ancient ways, the lost art of persuasion, the magic of marketing. Your time is now cosmos.
Mark raised his tusks and split the sky. A portal opened, a world passed by. Through time, through space, a rift was torn, and Tyler Williams was reborn.